Okay, this is part 3. So Astrid's like buying these drinks for her and Walter, and then she turns around and he's gone. And she looks everywhere, but she can't find him. So she calls Peter and she's like, I lost Walter, I looked everywhere, I can't find him. And he's like, oh, he's probably just trying to teach you a lesson so you won't follow him again. And she's like, okay, I'm gonna go check the lab. So she goes to the lab, and then she doesn't see anybody there, but then she hears a noise, and she turns around, and then there's this guy trying to take the 4-foot-long worm in the tank, and then there's this other guy, and then, it goes to Walter, and he's still in Chinatown, and he's at this payphone, and he's trying to dial Peter's number, but he still, like, won't get the right number because he doesn't remember it. After he runs out of all his change, then he sits down at this bench, and this Asian woman sits next to him, and he's, like, sobbing to her, and he's like, oh, I really tried to remember Peter's number, but I can't remember it. I don't know the right combination. I don't know where it goes. Oh, and he's so sad and crying, and it was really, like, touching and stuff, you know. Yeah. But anyway, she, like, the Asian woman, like, she looks sympathetic, but, like, she doesn't understand any of the English. And then, Peter goes back to the lab, and he finds Astrid, and she's got, like, blood on her and everything. But then Peter gets a call, and it turns out, Walter is at, like, that Asian woman's apartment and stuff. So, then Olivia's at the Jarvis house, you know, Matt and Elizabeth, and she's like, your son told us everything. And Elizabeth's like, well, he won't live long without the treatments, because he's getting this treatment for his immune deficiency disorder and stuff with this powder and everything. And then Peter goes to this apartment where the old Asian woman lives, and then Walter's there, and it's all good and stuff. But then he's like, oh, I couldn't remember your number. I was trying to call you on the payphone. And then Peter's like, Walter, I put the numbers in your coat pocket. Why don't you remember that? And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I just didn't remember. So he had the numbers in his coat pocket this whole time and everything. So then Peter asks if he remembers any of the addresses of the herbalists he went to. So then he says, like, oh, I mentioned I had a 4-foot worm to one of the herbalists or whatever. And then he was like, oh, that's how they tracked us. That's how they found the lab, the worm in the lab and everything. So then the FBI team and stuff, they're gonna, like, try and raid the ship that supposedly all the immigrants are on. But then they're all going on the ship and looking around, but there's no one there except that little toy that the daughter had. Yeah, and she takes it. So then she's like, oh, I figured we're too late and they're already dead. But then it goes to Peter and Walter, and they're in Chinatown, they're driving in this car, and then they're at this herbalist, and they see all these, like, immigrants, like, walking by. Well, I mean, you can't tell if they're immigrants, but obviously they are, and they're being smuggled from the ship and stuff. And so, like, they go into this little, the herbalist shop thing where the older Asian man was, the evil one, you know, and, Peter's like, stay in the car, I'm going in, which was pretty stupid. I mean, why would you even go in there? Because the FBI team are already coming because he called them. But I guess it just adds more suspense, and it did. I was, like, totally freaked out. But anyway, so he goes into the building, and he's, like, walking around. There's no one there, but there's all these, like, dead immigrants, like, lying on these little cots and stuff, and it's freaky. And then he walks through, and then he sees, like, this immigrant who's still alive, and she's, like, strapped to this, like, cot thing, and he's, like, ripping open her shirt, and she's all gagged and stuff, and it's really horrible. And then, like, he's, like, so he's, like, getting ready to, like, jump and everything, and then just as he's about to, like, rip open her shirt, he runs, and he, like, punches him, and he, like, throws him down, and it was really awesome. I was like, yeah, Peter! But then, this other dude, who was from, like, a while before when Astrid and Walter were in Chinatown, that I thought he was, like, actually kidnapped Walter, but that wasn't the case. Anyway, this guy comes up behind him, and then, like, they strap him to this, like, chair thing, and then, he's like, open, open, and he has the little larvae from the worm, but Peter refuses to open his mouth, and so then he tells the other guy to, like, force his mouth open with his bare hands, and he's like, and stuff, and then he's like, open, open! So finally, he just opens Peter's mouth, and his mouth is all bloody and stuff, and then he like forces the little larvae into it, and he's like, swallow, swallow, swallow. But then the FBI team come rushing in, they're like, FBI, and they're like, they shot both the guys and stuff, and then Peter like spit out the worm, and it was all awesome. That part was like the bomb. It was awesome. Okay, so after that, like Walter goes back to the lab and he sees Astrid and she's all hurt and everything, and then he's like, oh my gosh, Astrid, I'm so sorry, and she was crying and they hugged and it was like so sweet. I loved that part. Okay, well anyway, she's like, it's not your fault. So, sorry. Then they take some of the immigrants who are alive back to this hospital, and then Olivia visits Mei Lin and her family's there with her daughter, and she gives her back the little paper crane thing. And then some of the Fringe Wiki mentioned that, you know, the last episode, August, when Olivia was talking about, like, how when her mother took her to her first movie and stuff, maybe this is kind of like something related to that. I don't really know, but, yeah, how she gave her back the paper crane and remembered to take that thing with her, that it would be important. So then the last part is Walter and Peter back in their apartment, and Walter's telling Peter, he's like, I've been out of the institution for a year now and everything, and I should be independent. I want to be treated like an adult, not a child and stuff. And then he's like, so I planted a tracking device inside my neck, and like he turns his neck and goes like this, and there's this little bandage, and Peter's like, Walter, and then he gives him this little like it was a, you know, the little device to use to like track him and everything. And so then Peter smiles, and then that's the end of it. So yeah, there you have it, Snakehead. Good episode. Gross. You should watch it for real, then you'll be really grossed out, because my description is not nearly as disgusting. But yeah, it was really good. And next week we get to learn more about that shapeshifter that, you know, they stole the frozen head and then reattached it. Yeah, so more about the alternate universe. No more. It doesn't look like a standalone like all of these have been. So it's pretty interesting, and it's next Thursday at 9 on Fox, so watch it, and thank you for watching, add, subscribe, all that, please. Thank you!